And so I sat in the back of a lot of her lectures, learning a little bit too much awareness too soon about processes, memory, learning behavior.
Mm.
I learned early on about myself that I was really interested in pattern recognition. So I didn't use that word per se, but what I really needed to understand was I needed to understand how things connected. I needed to understand the relationships between things if I was going to understand the thing. And so that was a way of really understanding learning. So, I was interested if I learned a new skill, how did that skill connect to a whole bunch of other skills? How did that skill, how was it recursive? How did it iterate on the things that I already knew? And growing up in Europe, I was exposed to lots of sports. And what I'll say, I think about my growing up, kayaking and skiing and playing footy, is that we really valued the best athlete in our group as the kid who could do the most skills, the kid who could pick up the new skill the fastest. And for me, I think that was really, important because I didn't come up in a sort of very traditional strength and conditioning society. I used to kid around with my mom. I was like, Mom, if I had a little classical ballet or some Olympic lifting, I could have made something of myself, And she's like, well, we were poor and I did the best I could. I was like, hang on, Mom, just kidding. But I didn't have a lot of formal movement training. What I was exposed to a lot of good coaching at a high level. I remember being a young kid in a ski racing camp taught by Andre Arnold, who had won the World Cup. And that kind of way he was thinking and the technicality and explaining the whole to the parts in those relationships really spoke to me. And I remember thinking, like, this is how I like to learn. So I have this very technical experience and really worshiping the generalist and myself identifying as generalist. I don't know if I was very talented at any one of those sports, but good success. But really the thing is that I was really interested in all of the sports and playing and being competent across this domain. So what I think is interesting is that because I didn't have this kind of classical strength and conditioning model, I remember coming to the United States when I was a freshman in high school and deciding I was going to play American football. Had never played American football, didn't know anything about it really, but my mom was like, you'll meet some kids. I think you'll like it. Your dad was a college quarterback. And I had to go in and do some testing for some lifts for the freshman team. And because I came in a little late, I didn't do all the testing. But I was able to front squat more than I was able to back squat. And of course, I mean, I'm sure it was like 20 kilos, whatever. I was a 14-year-old. But the idea here is that my capacities of play showed up in my ability to learn a new skill and to perform that skill. And it wasn't based on a little bit of what we've obsessed about now in strength and conditioning, which is power, wattage, gym culture, how much time we're in the gym. And we've forgotten necessarily because of that, why we're training in the first place, to make better athletes. So that an athlete or a person can do their job or be more useful to the team, or however we define that. So I think it was really important for me that I didn't get caught up in the minutiae of the material of training. I was caught up in the actual training itself. And now we see that people have literally lost that narrative a little bit in terms of what is essential and why are we training and what's the training for? How do we express that besides having abs in the gym for Instagram?